The massive crystal dome of the Galactic Council chambers sparkled under three artificial suns. Hundreds of alien representatives from across the galaxy sat in rising circular tiers, their attention fixed on the lone human standing at the center podium. Ambassador Thomas Reed adjusted his plain black suit and looked up at the towering beings around him. "Impossible," rumbled head counselor Bluestone, his crystalline form casting rainbow patterns on the floor. "You expect us to believe that humans haven't fought a war in over 100 years." Reed remained calm, his weathered face showing the hint of a smile. The council chambers filled with murmurs and clicks from the assembled representatives. Some checked their data screens, others whispered to their neighbors. A few even laughed. "The evidence is in your records," Reed said, his voice clear and steady. "Every surveillance probe you've sent to Earth in the last century shows the same thing. No armies, no military parades, no weapon testing." A tall serpentine being with iridescent scales slithered forward. "But your history," Representative Silverwing's forked tongue flicked in agitation. "We've studied your past. World wars, Cold Wars, regional conflicts. Your species practically invented new ways to fight." "That's precisely why we stopped," Reed replied. He touched a control on the podium, and holographic images appeared above him. They showed peaceful cities, children playing in parks, and people from different cultures working together. "We remembered our past, and we chose a different path." Bluestone's crystalline surface rippled with doubt. "No species just stops fighting. It's against basic nature. There must be some secret weapon, some ultimate deterrent you're hiding." Reed's smile grew wider. "In a way, you're right. We do have something that prevents war, but it's not what you think." The council chamber grew quiet. Even the most skeptical representatives leaned forward in their seats. The humans' calm confidence was unsettling to species that measured power in fleet sizes and weapon capabilities. "Tell us then," demanded Bluestone. "What is this great power that keeps humanity at peace?" Reed walked around the podium, his footsteps echoing in the silence. "Before I answer, let me ask you something. Have any of your monitoring stations detected massive energy weapons on Earth? Have your probes found hidden fleets of warships?" The council members looked at each other. Silverwing consulted a datapad. "No," she admitted. "Your technology level is actually quite modest compared to many council races." "And yet," Reed continued, "when the Proxima pirates tried to raid Earth colonies last year, they turned back at the border. When the Machine Collective attempted to scan our defenses, their probes self-destructed. Even your own scout ships won't approach closer than the moon." A wave of uncomfortable shifting moved through the chamber. It was true. Something about Earth's space made even the bravest alien crews feel uneasy. Not scared, exactly, but unwilling to proceed. "We're getting reports," Bluestone said slowly, "of similar effects spreading to other worlds. Colonies that fought for centuries are laying down arms. Trade rivals are suddenly signing peace treaties, and all of them have one thing in common: recent contact with human diplomats." Reed nodded. "We learned something in our violent past, something so powerful it changed our entire species. And now, as we join the galactic community, that change is spreading naturally." "What is it?" Silverwing demanded. "What could possibly have such an effect?" Reed walked back to the podium and pressed another control. The holographic images changed to show something that made several council members gasp. "The answer is simple," he said, "but explaining it will take time. Are you ready to learn why humans never go to war anymore?" Bluestone's crystalline form pulsed with colored light, a sign of intense interest in his species. "We are listening, Ambassador Reed. Tell us your secret." Reed looked up at the gathered representatives, his eyes reflecting the light of the artificial suns. "It began in the year 2087, with a discovery that would change everything." Deep beneath the Rocky Mountains, Colonel James Walker walked through the dimly lit corridors of humanity's most secret facility. His footsteps echoed against metal walls as he led the small group of alien representatives through security checkpoints. Each visitor wore a simple white badge that glowed softly in the dark. "What you're about to see," Walker said, stopping at a massive vault door, "hasn't been shown to any non-human before today." He placed his hand on a scanner, and the door slowly opened with a soft hiss. Bluestone's crystal body sparkled in the low light. "Your council approved this." They did. Walker stepped inside, motioning for the others to follow. "After your session with Ambassador Reed, they agreed it was time to share everything." The room they entered was enormous, stretching several stories high. Rows of silver containers lined the walls, each one humming with quiet energy. In the center stood a single pedestal with an old-style computer terminal. Silverwing slithered closer to one of the containers, her scales reflecting the blue light coming from within. "What are these?" "Memories," Walker replied. He walked to the terminal and pressed a few buttons, or more accurately, experiences. Every human war, every battle, every moment of suffering we've ever recorded. And next to them, every moment of peace, joy, and cooperation we've experienced since. The terminal came to life, showing images from Earth's history. First, scenes of war, soldiers in trenches, cities in ruins, families torn apart. Then, gradually, images of reconstruction, healing, and unity. In 2087, Walker continued, Dr. Anna White made a breakthrough in neural mapping. She found a way to not just record memories, but to transmit the full emotional experience of those memories to others. It was meant to help trauma patients heal. He pressed another button, and one of the containers opened with a soft click. Inside, a small silver device floated in blue liquid. "This is the first prototype," Walker said. Dr. White used it to share her grandfather's war memories with a group of military leaders. They didn't just see what he saw in battle. They felt what he felt. The fear, the pain, the loss, everything. Bluestone moved closer to the device, and this stopped wars. Walker shook his head. "Not at first. But as the technology improved, we started using it in schools. Children didn't just learn about history. They experienced it. They felt the impact of every bullet, the terror of every bombing raid, the grief of every loss. And right after, they felt the joy of peace, the relief of conflict ending, the happiness of people working together." Silverwing's tongue flicked thoughtfully. "But surely some still wanted to fight." "That's the interesting part," Walker said, walking to another section of the archive. "Once someone experiences both war and peace this way, their brain chemistry actually changes. It becomes almost impossible to choose violence over peaceful solutions, not because they're forced to be peaceful, but because they truly understand the cost of war and the value of peace." He touched another container, and it lit up to reveal thousands of tiny silver devices. "We call it Project Empathy." Within one generation, war became obsolete on Earth, not because we couldn't fight, but because nobody wanted to. "And now," Bluestone said slowly, "this effect is spreading through the galaxy wherever humans go." Walker nodded. "The devices have evolved. They're smaller now, more efficient. Some are no bigger than a grain of sand. Every human carries one, broadcasting peace and understanding on a subconscious level. We're not trying to control anyone. We're just sharing our experience." He walked back to the terminal and brought up new images, peaceful alien worlds, former enemies signing treaties, weapons being turned into tools. "This archive holds humanity's greatest treasure," Walker said. "Not the technology itself, but the understanding it brings. The knowledge that peace isn't just possible. It's inevitable once you truly understand the alternative." Silverwing moved to the terminal, her long body coiling thoughtfully. "Your people are willing to share this with the galaxy." Walker smiled. "That's why you're here. The Council has authorized a full sharing of Project Empathy. But first, would you like to experience it yourselves? to understand why humans never go to war anymore. Bluestone and Silverwing looked at each other, then back at Walker. Their response would change the course of galactic history forever. The Meridian Empire's warships filled the view screens of Earth's orbital defense station. 50 massive black vessels, their hulls covered in weapon ports, hung like dark stars against the backdrop of space. At the command center, General Robert Smith watched them with calm eyes. "They're testing us," he said to his staff, "just as we expected they would." The Meridians were famous across the galaxy for their aggressive expansion. They had conquered 12 star systems in the past year alone. Now they had come to Earth, drawn by rumors of a planet without weapons. "Sir," Lieutenant Mark Green called from his station. "They're broadcasting a message." The main screen flickered to life, showing the face of Fleet Commander Red Claw. Like all Meridians, he had dark metallic skin and glowing red eyes. His voice rumbled through the speakers. "People of Earth," Red Claw said, "your reputation has reached our empire. A world without weapons, a species that claims to have abandoned war. We find this difficult to believe." General Smith stepped forward. "Welcome to Earth space, Commander. I assure you, the reports are true." Red Claw's eyes narrowed. "Then you will surrender immediately. We detect no weapon systems, no defense fleets. You cannot resist us." "We have no intention of surrendering," Smith replied calmly. "But we also have no intention of fighting you." This seemed to confuse the Meridian commander. His crew could be seen exchanging puzzled looks behind him. In their long history of conquest, they had never encountered this response. "You have 1 hour to reconsider," Red Claw growled. "After that, we will begin our assault." The screen went dark. Lieutenant Green turned to the general. "Sir, should we activate the planetary shields?" Smith shook his head. "No shields, no weapons. Prepare Project Empathy for broadcast instead. Full strength, wide dispersion." Around Earth, hidden satellites began to power up. They didn't carry lasers or missiles. They carried something far more powerful. In the defense station's control room, Smith opened a secure channel to the archives beneath the Rocky Mountains. "Colonel Walker," he said, "are you ready?" "Yes, sir." Walker's voice came through clearly. "The archives are powered up. Which memory set should we use?" Smith thought for a moment. "Start with World War II. Pearl Harbor. Let them feel what started one of our worst conflicts. Then show them how it ended, and what we learned from it." The hour passed quickly. The Meridian ships moved into attack formation, their weapons charging. Red Claw appeared on screen again, his expression confident. "Your time is up," he announced. "Since you refuse to surrender, we will take your world by force. Open fire." But as the Meridian gunners pressed their triggers, something strange happened. The firing controls suddenly felt wrong. Every crew member on every ship was hit by a wave of memories. They felt the shock and horror of Pearl Harbor's surprise attack, not as a distant history lesson, but as if they were there. What is this?" Red Claw stumbled in his command chair. His crew members grabbed their heads, overwhelmed by the emotional impact. "This is war," Smith said quietly. "The real experience of it. Not the glory, not the victory. The truth." The Meridian ships drifted in space, their weapons powered down. Through their neural networks, Earth's archives shared generation after generation of human experience. The pain of losing loved ones, the terror of bombs falling, the guilt of taking lives. And then, just as the Meridians thought they couldn't bear any more, the memories changed. They felt the joy of peace treaties being signed, the relief of soldiers returning home, the happiness of former enemies becoming friends. Red Claw looked up at the screen, his glowing eyes wide with understanding. How do you live with these memories?" "We live with them," Smith replied. "So we never forget why we chose peace. Would you like to know more about our choice?" The Meridian commander was silent for a long moment. Behind him, his crew sat quietly, forever changed by what they had experienced. Finally, he spoke. "Yes," Red Claw said softly. "I believe we would." Captain Mary Stone stood at the viewing window of Earth's main space station, watching the Meridian fleet. The massive warships hadn't moved in 3 days. Their weapons remained powered down, their crews still processing the memories they had experienced. "It's amazing," said Dr. Jack White, grandson of Project Empathy's creator. He worked on his tablet, reviewing data from the broadcast. "Their neural patterns are changing faster than we expected." "Is it permanent?" Mary asked, turning away from the window. "According to these readings, yes." Jack showed her the screen. "Just like humans, once they experience both sides, the horror of war and the beauty of peace, they can't go back to their old way of thinking." The station's comm system crackled to life. "Captain Stone, Commander Red Claw is requesting permission to dock. He wants to talk." Mary nodded to herself. "Grant permission. Have him meet us in the main conference room." 30 minutes later, Mary and Jack sat across from the Meridian commander. Red Claw looked different now, his usual fierce expression replaced by one of deep thought. 2 of his senior officers sat with him, their glowing eyes dimmer than before. "We've spent 3 days reviewing what happened," Red Claw began. "My crew, we've never experienced anything like this. You didn't just show us memories. You made us feel everything." "That's how Project Empathy works," Jack explained. "It's not just information, it's the full emotional experience. Every fear, every loss, every moment of grief, and every joy of peace." One of Red Claw's officers, Gold Spark, leaned forward. "Our empire has always valued strength through conquest. But now we understand the true cost of our actions." "And that's not all," the other officer, Blue Fire, added. "We felt the memories of cooperation, of working together. The satisfaction of building instead of destroying. It's better than victory." Mary smiled gently. "That's what humanity learned. War doesn't make us strong. Understanding each other does." Red Claw placed a small device on the table. "A Meridian War Medal. I've commanded fleets for 30 years. Won dozens of battles. But now I can't even look at this without feeling sick." "It's not just you," Jack said, checking his tablet again. "We're getting reports from your fleet. Every crew member is experiencing the same change. Some are even requesting to send these memories back to the Meridian Empire." "Yes." Red Claw's eyes glowed with new purpose. "Our people need to understand this. All of them. Will you help us?" Mary stood and walked to the room's main display. She brought up a map of Meridian space. 12 conquered systems, millions of beings living under their rule. "Project Empathy was designed to be shared," she said. "We can help you set up broadcast stations throughout your territory. But you need to understand, once people experience this, they'll want change." "We know," Gold Spark said. "We've already discussed it. Our first act will be to free the conquered systems. Let them choose their own path." "And then?" Jack asked. Blue Fire stood, walking to the map. "Then we want to learn from you. How did humans reorganize their society after war became impossible? How do you resolve conflicts without violence?" Mary pressed a button, and the map zoomed out to show the entire galaxy. Dozens of green dots appeared, places where Project Empathy was already spreading. "Look," she said. "Each green light is a world or system that has embraced peace through understanding. The Proxima Federation, the Machine Collective, even parts of the Galactic Council space. You won't be alone in this change." Red Claw joined her at the map, his metallic features softened by his new perspective. "How long did it take humans to fully change?" "1 generation," Jack replied. "The children who grew up with Project Empathy never knew war as anything but history. They helped their parents understand. Communities change, then nations, then the whole world." Mary touched the display, adding a new green dot in Meridian space. Would you like to be next? The three Meridian officers looked at each other, then back at the humans. Their answer would start a chain reaction that would transform their entire empire. We would, Red Claw said firmly. Show us how to begin. The Galactic Council chambers were packed. Representatives from 100 worlds watched the main display, where a time-lapse map showed the spread of peace through Meridian space. Over just 3 weeks, every green dot representing Project Empathy's influence had grown larger. Admiral William Gray stood at the podium, his white uniform crisp and neat. Next to him, Commander Red Claw's metallic skin gleamed under the artificial suns. The transformation of the Meridian Empire has exceeded all expectations, Gray reported. In just 21 days, their entire military structure has been peacefully dismantled. Bluestone's crystal forms sparkled with interest. And the conquered systems, what of them? Red Claw stepped forward. We have freed them all, he said, his voice carrying pride of a different kind now. But something unexpected happened. None of them wanted to leave. Murmurs filled the chamber. Silver Wing slithered to the edge of her platform. They chose to stay, after being conquered. Yes, Red Claw nodded. Because we're not an empire anymore. We've reformed into the Meridian Cooperative. Every system has equal voice, equal rights. They stayed because they felt our change was real. Admiral Gray brought up new images on the display. They showed Meridian warships being transformed into research vessels, weapon factories becoming schools, and military bases turning into cultural centers. This is the second phase of Project Empathy, Gray explained. After experiencing the memories of war, the Meridians are now feeling the full impact of peace, the joy of creation instead of destruction, the satisfaction of working together. The images changed to show Meridian children in new schools, learning about their own history through Project Empathy. Their glowing eyes wide with understanding as they felt both the pain of their empire's past and the hope of their cooperative's future. The children understand fastest, Red Claw said softly. Just like human children did. They're already asking why anyone would choose war over peace. It seems foolish to them. A representative from the Machine Collective rolled forward, their metallic body humming. But what of defense? The galaxy is not all peaceful. There are still threats. Gray smiled. Show them, Commander. Red Claw pressed a control, and the display changed again. It showed a recent incident where pirates had tried to raid a Meridian colony. As the pirates approached, they suddenly stopped. Their ships drifted in space, weapons silent. We didn't fight them, Red Claw explained. We shared our memories with them. Let them feel what we felt. The raiders left peacefully, and 2 days later, they asked to join the cooperative. The chamber erupted in discussion. Some representatives looked amazed, others worried. A few seemed to understand what this meant for the future of the galaxy. Gray raised his hand for quiet. This is why humanity never goes to war anymore. Not because we can't, but because we found a better way. The Meridians have proved it works for any species, any culture. He brought up a final image, a graph showing conflict rates across the galaxy. Everywhere Project Empathy had spread, the line dropped to 0 and stayed there. The choice is yours, Gray said to the Council. Earth and the Meridian Cooperative are offering Project Empathy to all worlds. Not as a weapon, not as a tool of control, but as a gift. A way to understand each other completely. Red Claw stepped forward again. 3 weeks ago, I commanded a fleet meant to conquer Earth. Today, I stand here asking you to let us help you find peace. Not through force, but through understanding. Silver Wing's scales shimmered as she spoke. And if we refuse? Then we respect your choice, Gray replied. Project Empathy cannot be forced on anyone. It only works when freely accepted. But ask yourself, if there was a way to end all war, to truly understand each other, wouldn't you want to try it? The council chamber grew quiet as the representatives considered his words. One by one, They began to raise their hands or appendages, not in a vote, but in a request to be next. The understanding was spreading, just as humanity had hoped it would. 1 year after the Meridian incident, Representative Michael Woods sat in his office on Earth's main space station, reviewing reports from across the galaxy. The wall of screens before him showed green dots spreading like stars, each representing another world embracing Project Empathy. Another request from the Outer Rim, his assistant, Tom Black, said, bringing in a new data pad. 3 more systems want to join the program. Michael nodded, adding the systems to his map. How many does that make this month? 52, Tom replied. And these aren't small worlds. The entire Star Dragon Alliance voted yes yesterday. The Star Dragons have been one of the most aggressive species in the galaxy, proud of their warrior culture. Their decision to accept Project Empathy had shocked many. But after sending observers to Meridian space, they had seen the truth for themselves. A soft chime announced an incoming call. The main screen lit up to show Commander Red Claw, now Chief Administrator of the Meridian Cooperative. Good news, Michael, Red Claw said, his red eyes glowing warmly. The last of our conversion projects is complete. Every warship in Meridian space has been transformed into a science or exploration vessel. Michael smiled. How does your fleet feel about the change? They love it. Our pilots say exploring new worlds is more exciting than conquering them, and our scientists are making incredible discoveries now that they're not focused on weapon research. The screen split to show another familiar face. Dr. Jack White, who had been traveling the galaxy helping worlds set up their own empathy broadcast systems. The Star Dragons are fascinating, Jack reported. Their warriors didn't resist the memories like we expected. They embraced them, said feeling both sides of conflict made them truly understand honor for the first time. Tom brought up more data on the side screens. Economic reports showed trade increasing everywhere Project Empathy had spread. Crime rates dropped to near zero. Scientific cooperation was at an all-time high. What about the holdouts? Michael asked. Some worlds had still refused to join the program, fearful of changing their societies. They're watching, Red Claw said. Every day they see their neighbors growing stronger through peace. The Steel Republic announced this morning they're reconsidering their position. Jack nodded. It's like a chain reaction. Each world that joins makes it easier for others to follow. The memories we share keep getting richer, not just Earth's history now, but experiences from every species. Michael stood and walked to the station's viewing window. Earth shone below, peaceful and blue. Ships from 100 worlds moved through space around it, none of them carrying weapons anymore. Show me the latest numbers, he said. Tom brought up a galaxy-wide report. Wars in progress, 0. Military conflicts, 0. Border disputes, 2. Both being resolved through dialogue. Weapons production, down 95%. Scientific cooperation, up 300%. Interspecies cultural exchange, up 500%. The 2 border disputes are interesting, Jack added. Both sides activated their empathy systems at the same time. They're now working together to create something better than either side originally wanted. Red Claw's image shifted as he looked at his own reports. We're seeing something new in the younger generation. Children born after Project Empathy can't even understand why we used to fight. They think war is as strange as eating rocks. Michael turned back to the screens. Any negative effects to report? Just one, Tom said with a small smile. Military historians are complaining they're running out of new material to study. Everyone laughed, but it was a meaningful joke. History was now dividing into 2 clear eras, before and after Project Empathy. Earth's gift to the galaxy, Red Claw said softly. Not technology, not weapons, not even peace itself, but the ability to truly understand each other. Michael looked at the map again, at all the green dots shining like beacons of hope. Send the welcome package to those 3 new systems in the Outer Rim. Let's help them join the future. The transformation was becoming unstoppable. World by world, species by species, the galaxy was learning why humans never went to war anymore. 10 years after the first galactic-wide adoption of Project Empathy, David Reed stood where his grandfather Thomas had once stood, in the center of the Galactic Council chambers. But the chamber looked very different now. The weapon scanners were gone, replaced by art from 100 worlds. The defensive shields had been converted into a giant stellar observatory. Today marks a historic milestone. David announced to the assembled representatives, the last known weapons of mass destruction in our galaxy have been peacefully dismantled. Above him, the artificial suns cast warm light on faces of every shape, size, and color. Blue stone's crystal form glowed with pride. Silver winged scales shimmered with contentment. Even the newest members of the council, former pirates and raiders, sat peacefully among their old targets. My grandfather stood here 20 years ago, David continued, trying to explain why humans never go to war. Today, none of us go to war. But for the benefit of our newest discovered civilizations, let me share our story one more time. He activated the chamber's memory systems. The air filled with soft light as Project Empathy began its broadcast. The newest council members, representatives from a recently discovered world called New Dawn, leaned forward in their seats. "Feel this," David said softly. "This was Earth, long ago." The memories flowed gently, the pain of old wars, the joy of peace, the pride of building instead of destroying. But now these memories contain more than just human experiences. The Meridians shared their journey from empire to cooperative. The Star Dragons added their transformation from warriors to explorers. Even the Machine Collective contributed their unique perspective on understanding organic emotions. "This is who we were," David continued, showing scenes of past conflicts. "And this is who we became." The images changed to show the galaxy today. Ships of every design traveled between stars, carrying knowledge instead of weapons. Former military academies had become centers of science and art. Children of different species played together, their minds open to Project Empathy from birth. In the medical wing of the council station, Dr. Lisa White, the latest descendant of Project Empathy's creator, worked with a team of alien scientists. They had discovered that prolonged exposure to shared peaceful memories actually changed brain patterns across all species, making violence feel as unnatural as walking on your head. But the greatest change, David said, bringing up new images, wasn't in our technology or our societies. It was in our understanding. The display showed scenes from across the galaxy. A former Meridian warship captain, teaching art to Star Dragon children. Machine Collective units helping organic beings process emotional memories. Previous enemies working together to terraform dead worlds into gardens. Mixed crews of dozen species exploring the galaxy's unknown regions. "We no longer need weapons," David explained to the New Dawn representatives. "Not because we're forced to be peaceful, but because we choose to be. We remember why we stopped fighting. We feel why peace is better, and most importantly, we understand each other." He touched a control, and Earth appeared in the center of the chamber, the same blue world where it all began. Around it, ships from every known civilization moved in harmony. "This is my grandfather's legacy," David said. "Not just Project Empathy itself, but what it revealed, that every species, no matter their past, can choose understanding over conflict, can choose to feel what others feel, can choose peace not from weakness, but from wisdom." The New Dawn representatives looked at each other, their silver eyes wide with comprehension as the memories settled in their minds. "We understand now," their leader said quietly. "War feels impossible after experiencing this." "Yes," David smiled. "That's exactly what my grandfather hoped everyone would say. Welcome to the future we built together." Above them, the artificial suns seemed to shine brighter. In the streets outside the council chambers, beings of all kinds walked together without fear. Ships departed for the galaxy's edges, carrying not weapons but wisdom, not conquest, but understanding. This was why humans never went to war anymore. And now, it was why no one did. In the great archives beneath Earth's mountains, a simple plaque marked humanity's greatest achievement: peace through understanding. It was written in every language in the galaxy, a testament to the day humans showed the universe a better way.